Welcome to my crochet bouquet video in support of the Santa hat kit. In this video we're going to learn how to create the Santa hat from beginning to end. So we're going to start with our white and we're going to create a slip knot. So you want to wrap it around your finger as if to tie a knot, but make sure you don't pull the end through. So you wrap it under, pull a loop through, but make sure that little yarn end doesn't go through as well. So now you're going to do a chain corresponding to the size that you're making. So for a baby, toddler size, it's going to be 48. For a child's, it's going to be 54. And for an adult, it's going to be 60. To chain, you simply yarn over from back over the top towards the front. If you do go towards you over the top towards the back, you'll find as you twist your hook it falls off more easily. So it is much simpler, much easier when you're doing the turn of the hook to yarn over from the back over the top towards you. Once you've completed your chain, you want to make sure that it isn't twisted, and then you're going to insert your hook into the very first chain and do a slip stitch, which involves yarning over once you've inserted your hook and pulling through both loops on your hook. This will create your circle to start your rim of your Santa hat. Now you're going to be working trebles throughout this Santa hat, apart from in one of the rows a little bit later to finish off your rim. Your treble is yarning over, inserting into your chain, the next one along, yarning over, pulling back through the chain, yarning over through two, and yarning over through two. Because you're working your chain in the same direction as it was worked originally rather than back on yourself, it's slightly more tricky to find where the stitches are. Normally you can pull on the stitch you've just done and follow the yarn through into that hole. But if you pull on it, you can see where it's pushing through the back, and making sure you're working from the front through to the back of your chain, you can complete your treble crochet. So to do so, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull back through, yarning over through two, and the same again. Once you reach the end of your row, you're going to do another slip stitch, so insert your hook, yarn over and pull back through. You're going to do it into the top of the first treble you did, not into the top of the top of your chain 3. You're going to continue in the same way, so you're going to chain 3 at the start of each round and then treble into the top of your stitches. You want to be making sure that you're working underneath both parts of that V, so where you stick your hook through, not coming up through the middle of the stitch, going underneath both parts of it like that. Doing your treble by yarning over and pulling back through the top of your stitch, yarning over and through 2, and yarning over and through 2 again. You're going to do that into the top of each stitch around until you have the corresponding number of rounds for the size you're making. So for your baby size it's 4 rows, for your child size it's 6, and for an adult size it's 8. You can see that signified in your pattern by the square brackets. The baby size will be the first number that you see, and then within the brackets the sizes going up will correspond. Once you have reached the part where you have the right number of rows for your size given, you're going to fold it up so that the bottom, the start of your work comes up underneath. So the side as you're working that's facing you is on the outside. Fold up through and continue to work around. So you're going to work through both parts. We're going to be working a double crochet. So rather than yarning over before you go in, you're going to push your yarn through both sides, so through the top of your stitch and through the first chain as well. Yarning over, pulling back through, you'll have 2 loops, and then yarning over and pulling through those 2 as well. You're going to continue to do that all the way around. Now, you might want to think that you have to go into the very first chain as you do your very first double, but that's not the case. Because of how crochet rounds build up, it will start to stagger. So you will be working into, however many rows that you have, so for the baby size, it will be about the 4th stitch round. the 6th stitch round for the child size and the 8th stitch for the adults. Just keep going until you have your lovely doubled over rim. To join your red, attach it onto your hook with a slip knot and insert into the next stitch. Then yarn over and you're going to be doing 3 chains to form the height of your treble. Then, much like your first rounds, you're going to do a treble into each stitch as you go. At the end of your rounds, you'll join with a slip stitch into the top of the first treble, not the top of the chain 3, and then continue round. At the end of the rounds, from then on, you will work into the top. So where you've done your slip stitch across, you will work into that stitch as well. Because you have skipped the chain 3, that chain 3 is counting as a treble in terms of the number of stitches you have, but because you're skipping it to go into the top of your treble with your slip stitch, you want to make sure you're going into that slip stitch at the ends of your rounds. You're going to work 3 rounds of just trebles for every single size. Now, depending on the size of your hat, you will have a different number of stitches to start. So effectively what you're going to do is chain 3 and treble into each stitch to about halfway, or it will be halfway. Then you're going to work your decrease stitches. There are 2 ways to decrease your work. The first is a treble 2 together, a tr to tog. You yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, which means yarning over and pulling back through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops only, leaving 2 on your hook. Then insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2. The next is the invisible decrease. So you're going to yarn over and insert your hook through the front loop only, rather than both parts of the stitch. Then insert your hook into the next stitch, front loop only. Then complete it as a normal treble. So yarn over and pull back through both of the front loops, and then yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2. You can see here the slight difference in the 2 stitches. You will continue to work your round in the same way, so you'll finish your half with your trebles and then decrease in the last 2 stitches. The rest of your rows up until you have 18 stitches will be worked in the same way, so you'll work to 1 stitch before halfway and decrease them together. Don't worry, we'll show you momentarily what the stitch counts are. You'll then continue to work your rounds, a treble in each and a decrease halfway round, and then the second half as well as you finish the round. Once you have 18 stitches in all sizes, you're then going to chain 3, then decrease, and then repeat around a treble and then a decrease. So you'll have a treble stitch and then a decrease stitch across the next 2 stitches. So you're reducing down your 3 stitches that you're working across into 2. So you'll go from 18 stitches to 12. In your next round, you're going to be reducing your 12 stitches down to 6, so you're going to treble 3, and you'll do a decrease working the first part of your decrease into the base of the chain 3. You will then continue to work decrease stitches all around until you have 6 stitches. Once you have finished your 6 decreases, you will fasten off by yarning over and pulling straight through, pulling the end of your yarn out through the top once you've done your slip stitch to connect. To finish off your Santa hat, of course, it needs to have a pom-pom on the tip. So I'm using a pom-pom maker, so you'll open out your arms and you're going to wrap your yarn around it until it becomes quite tough to close. You want it to be nice and full. No one wants a bit of a limp pom-pom, do they? No. Once both sides of your pom-pom are nice and full, you're going to take some scissors. I highly recommend getting some seamstress scissors because they're nice and sharp, otherwise it can be quite difficult to get them cut. Make sure you are holding the arms down as you do it. The last thing you want at this stage is for it to burst open, so be really careful as you're cutting around and make sure that you are holding the arms closed as you go. You want to make sure that you've cut every single little bit so that when you're tying your knots as you're doing now, so taking a length of yarn and just do some double knots and then wrap it back round the other way and double knot the other way too, so it's nice and secure before you undo your pom-pom. The last thing you want is all these little fibres getting absolutely everywhere. Once your pom-pom is secure, you can lift the arms. This can be quite difficult if it's a very full pom-pom like this. And then you're going to stick your fingers down the middle and prise it apart. Do be careful that you don't pull out any bits. Give it a bit of a trim so it's nice and spherical. This can take some time, so do just take time and care over it to make it nice and finished. Once you're happy with how your pom-pom looks, use 2 long ends from where you've tied it around to feed through into the top of your hat and just tie it off nice and tightly. I also like to braid it with the end of my red as well. Once you're ready, turn it back right side out and your Santa hat is complete. Well done! Find more kits, videos and workshops over on the Crochet Bouquet website, www.crochetbouquet.co.uk. Thanks for joining me.